In 1861 to 1863, the Civil War was taking place. The men of the Union went to battle to fight for what they believed was right, but the men were not the only one who had bloodshed. Around 400 women concealed their identities so they could battle alongside their Union. Sometimes their identities were never discovered. At the time, women weren't perceived as equals by any stretch of the imagination. They established women as nurses because they needed help on the front when soldiers were injured. But women weren't allowed to serve in combat. A lot of women didn't seem any less manly than, for example, the teenage boys who were enlisted. At the time, the Union had an official cutoff age of 18 for soldiers, but that was often disregarded and people often lied. Women layered on clothes, wore loose clothing, cut their hair short, and rubbed dirt on their faces kept to themselves to keep their identity a secret. They disguised themselves as men and carried a gun. They were overwhelmingly working-class women, immigrant women, poor women, and urban women. A private in the Union Army made $13 a month, which was easily double what a woman would make. Women soldiers in the Civil War fought for the same reason as men: patriotism, adventure, and to rid the country of slavery. Rosetta Loynes Wakeman, the oldest child in her family, worked under brutal conditions on the farm in upstate New York. She left home at the age of 19, and instead of getting a job as a domestic or laundress for pennies a day, she dressed as a man and hired onto a canal boat as a coal handler. When she heard that she could get $13 a month, she enlisted as a private in the 153rd New York State Volunteers.
Not all women had to be soldiers to experience this new independence. Women on the home front ran businesses, joined national organizations, and supported the cause through any means possible. Many were excited to leave behind the strict restrictions of society and do something for the cause. There were many reasons as to why you wouldn't want to be a nurse. They got front row seats to see certain procedures like cutting off certain body parts and digging deep into the hole that the bullet has left. They also were the first to be exposed to certain sicknesses when any soldier got sick or infected by certain diseases. The women were also in charge of personally getting the patients that they were about to treat, leaving a big target on their backs when retrieving the soldiers. Reasons why you would want to be a nurse is because you did get money and you got respect, and also it was just simply easier than dressing up as a man. But the reasons why you wouldn't want to be a nurse overrules the reasons why you would. Frances Cleland was one of the many women that dressed up as a man to fight in the army. Her reasoning was to fight alongside her husband during the fall of 1861. They agreed that she disguised as a man and using the pseudonym Jack Williams, and she enlisted into the Union to fight. Frances Cleland took up many manly vices. To conceal her sex, she learned to drink, smoke, chew, and swear. She was especially fond of cigars, and she gambled, and a fellow soldier declared that he had played poker with her on a number of occasions. She was also told to be a good horseman and swordsman, and she always carried herself along with many other soldiers. Finally decided to show her true identity in 1863 and got discharged in Louisiana later after. Although she joined the army to fight with her husband soon died in 1862 while in the army fighting. She fought in 14 battles, was wounded 3 times, and got held prisoner once. Cleland was an amazing soldier and was born in Illinois in the 1830s. She married Elmer Leigh L. Clayton, and she had 3 children. She lived in Minnesota, and she will be remembered as one of the brave soldiers who fought in the army. In conclusion, I believe that you'd rather be a woman in the army rather than a nurse. One of the reasons is because you gain a lot more respect being in the army rather than just being a nurse. You also have self-defense. Being in the army comes with having a gun, and also being in the army comes with a smaller target than being a nurse who is going to help others recover from the bullets that were shot. And like I said, this left a big target on the backs of the nurses when retrieving the soldiers that they had to help. And like we said earlier as well, you make twice as much as you would as a nurse or any kind of job in the Civil War if you were a woman. So in the end, being in the army as a woman is a lot easier, safer, and better than just being a nurse.